You still got me? We're going to be testing the Hollyland Pyro S. It's the SDI model, has both SDI and HDMI. We're just outside of Reagan Airport, it's right up the street, and we wanted to test out some wireless transmission in a space where we have a clear line of sight. So, it's rated for about 1,300 feet for the wireless transmission. Well, we've got a straight shot here that's about 1,200 feet measured on Google Maps. So we're going to test that out today. And the way we're doing it is I'm going to walk while holding the Canon R8 that's got the transmitter on it, and that'll be transmitting back to the receiver, and that's right over here with our Shogun.
Okay, so one quick note here, the Canon R8 doesn't output a clean HDMI feed while simultaneously recording to an SD card, so make sure if you're doing a test like this to use a camera that can do that.
The Shogun's going to record it so we can find out if the signal drops out. I'll also have an earbud in, or AirPod in, whatever that is. AirPod, earbud, it's been a long day, it's humid out. I'm going to have an AirPod in and I'll be listening in so he can tell me if the signal drops out at all. I'm saying sayonara to Charles. We're going to walk down this way and we're going to see how the signal goes. So for our test for the Hollyland Pyro S, I brought us down to Jones Point Park in Alexandria, Virginia. Mostly because we've got this huge open space that gives us enough room to walk with more than 1,000 feet of distance. I'll show you the measurement on the map here so you can see what it looks like. And we're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1,200 to 1,500 foot range from end to end. And I wanted to test the wireless in an area where there's traffic, there's interference because there's an airport right up the street, there's water because we're right off the water, and basically a whole bunch of stuff that could get in the way. And I'm just holding the camera at about shoulder height right now. Probably doing a terrible job of it because it's heavy and it's a lot harder to hold this when you're walking and holding cameras in both hands. But I wanted to prove that if we used a wireless transmitter in a busy place like just outside of Washington, D.C., just outside of an airport where you could have all this transmission issue, I wanted to prove that we can make it work. And tonight, we're not using the SDI connector, we're just using the HDMI connector, mostly because I needed a DSLR that was light enough to walk with for the purposes of this test. But you can see here the transmission, we're going to show you side by side so that you can see the wireless receiver that is recording it on the Ninja. And you can see how our signal is going so far. I can't promise you that it's a great camera angle of me or that it's exposed properly. But
just a quick note here, so there's no way we could have monitored the exposure, the focus, the color of this footage on the wireless transmission. I was holding it one-handed, it was super hot outside, and to be able to walk for that full 1,000 feet was really tough while keeping that camera steady, so there's just no way that we could have made sure that all of the exposure and color looked really good on that shot. What we're looking for here was to make sure that the transmission stayed up the entire time, and that if it did go out, we wanted to kind of document where it would go out and why it went out. So if there were obstacles or if we were just too far and out of range. But overall, this test worked out really well, and the transmission stayed up the entire time.
You still got me? All right, we've got a thumbs up from Charles all the way back there. I don't know if you can see behind me, but he is way back there now. So when we measure this on maps, I'm gonna have to show you because I don't have an exact number while I'm here to see this distance. But I am excited to say that things are working pretty well so far, and this has gotta be longer than any hotel ballroom I've ever had to send a wireless signal in. Now, a quick note on the make and build of these Hollyland transmitters and receivers. I love the fact that they've got SDI and HDMI, both inputs and outputs. And I love the fact that I can power this off of my V-mount battery because we're using a D-tap converter to a locking connector. Well, one thing I don't love is the antennas. They worry me a little bit because they're a little bit thin, and I think only time's going to tell as to the quality of them and how they hold up. But I have to give Hollyland a lot of credit here because Hollyland gives you an extra in the bag. So they were thinking ahead. They want to make sure that you've got an extra just in case. Certainly appreciate them for doing that. Arms are getting tired. It is hard to hold a camera rig with a wireless transmitter and a V-mount battery, but we're making it work. But as far as the build quality goes for the transmitter, I like it a lot. It's sleek. The menu system is easy to get into, and it's really nice and small. Came with a cold shoe mount, so you can fit it right onto your camera. And that is it. We are actually at the end. So we'll measure from the end of the bridge to the other end, just a little ways from the water. But that is our transmission. And Charles, how are we looking down there?
It's going well. Can you hear me?
I hear you. So I'm actually right at the stop sign there, so I'll be able to line that up pretty well. Okay.
Stop sign, is that a road?
Yeah, I hit the road.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty easy to identify because you can see the sidewalk on the map, so that's why I stood here, because we're basically right in front of the sidewalk.
So now that we're walking back, one of the things I wanted to try out was walking behind some of these concrete pillars. Now I'm sure if I get directly behind, we'll probably lose it. But since we're here, we might as well try something. So right now, I'm still line of sight, but coming up to the next concrete pillar, we're gonna walk behind it, see what happens to the signal. And while it's recording, we'll see if it drops out, but if it does, we'll also check and see if it picks back up. And we'll see what happens there. So I'm coming up to this pillar, concrete pillar, pretty big. We're gonna go behind it, and let's see if we lose connection. All right, we're now officially behind it. I have no line of sight. Sure. Got a glitch? Okay, so it looks like once we go behind that, we're gonna lose it. Should come back though. Here's the big pillar that we stood behind. So you can see signals do not go through concrete very well, especially when it's a massive bridge. I get it, makes sense, but I mean, this is a long, long ways, easily over 1,000 feet. So if our signal is going this far, then Hollyland, you guys are doing awesome. Signal is staying strong. So one thing to think about is that if you're transmitting wirelessly in a room that has bodies, projectors, screens, all sorts of other wireless interference, you know, this is kind of a test so that you can see what it's like in an area that's not totally ideal. And things are working pretty well. Obviously, every scenario is going to be a little bit different. But I tell you what, next time I do a test like this, I am not holding the camera. Look at this. I'm not holding the camera like this next time. This gets heavy. This is not fun. So Hollyland, this is for you guys. I appreciate you asking us to review this. The build quality is great. It's just that little thing with the antennas, I think they could get tweaked over time and improved. But the overall build quality of the actual transmitter receiver itself is fantastic. It easily mounts to the camera, very slim profile. And definitely appreciate you all for sending it over. This is not a sponsored video by any means. I've been given this wireless transmitter and receiver to review, but that's why you're getting the honest opinion, you know? So we're almost back. You can see it took me probably a good 5 minutes to walk each way from end to end. And we'll measure this out. We're back to the trail here, so you'll see on maps where I'm at. And you can kind of count by the pillars. So that's kind of nice. You have a little, you can see there's another pillar here. So you've got a bit of a location so you can kind of tell where I'm at. Walk behind this one. All right, we're gonna try walking behind a pillar here. I'm gonna try to not trip and fall or drop the camera because it's getting really heavy. All right, here's our pillar, and we are going behind, and goodbye line of sight. We're good, so we still have signal here. Okay, I am fully behind the pillar, so you can see that there. Coming out the other side. And now we've got line of sight, but it looks like the pillar that was closer, the signal was strong enough that we were able to get that signal still transmit. That's kind of fun. Behind the pillar again. Uh-oh, security car's coming up. Make sure we don't get in trouble. Well, we made it all the way back, and you can see I was all the way down there. And that was fun. That was a good walk. Transmission stayed solid all the way through. Can't say the same for my arm. Well, thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed seeing our review and wanted to see how far that transmission went, certainly appreciate you watching. And if you're looking to get the Hollyland Pyro S yourself, I've got links down in the description, and we'll see you next time.